Okay, so today I'm going to be showing you how I made these two cards using the new Distress Stain Picket Fence. So I'm going to start with my paper, my cardstock, and I'm going to be using Versamark to stamp the trees. The trees that I'm using are Hero Arts. They're the trees from one of the new Sizzix Hero Arts framelit sets. It's the one with the reindeer. So I'm gonna stamp this larger tree twice. Doesn't really matter, you can do whatever you like. And I always try to offset them so I don't end up with just a line of trees. It's a little more interesting if you have some higher and lower than others. And I'm also kind of thinking about where I'm going to put my hills. Give good pressure just to make sure I get everywhere. So those are my three trees. And I'm just going to put some clear embossing powder on them. Get all the extra off there. And I'm just going to heat those up with my embossing gun. Okay, now we've got the trees. So now I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back to stick my card to the craft mat, just so it doesn't move around when I'm doing the distress stain part. So there we go. So now I'm taking the Picket Fence Distress Stain, and you want to give it a shake first. And I'm just going to get it going on my craft sheet here. And now you're just going to cover the whole thing in the stain. So now you're just going to take a baby wipe, and I kind of like to fold mine up a little bit. And then we're just going to be wiping across. And it's going to help even out the stain. And that's good enough, I think. Okay, so I'm just going to hit that with the heat gun. So I've got my 3 snowflakes here. And this is the white that I like the best. It's the Colorbox Pigment Ink in Frost White. It works pretty good. So I'm just going to ink up my snowflakes here. And these snowflakes, by the way, are from, it's also a Hero Arts set. It's called Decorate You Holidays, and it's CL551. So I'm just going to be kind of random about it. And I try not to like evenly distribute my snowflakes. And you kind of want to have some hitting some other ones. And don't worry about your trees either. Like, go right over top of your trees, because we're going to be wiping that up later. And I think I'm happy with that, so I'm going to leave it there. Maybe one more little one down here. Probably get covered up anyway, but that's okay. So I'm just going to hit that for a second with the heat gun again, just before we do our snow. So now we're going to go back to our distress stain and give it another shake there. And I'm going to put 2 little hills in this scene, and I'm going to start with a little one back here. And this will make sure you don't leave your trees floating in the air, so you're going to want to hit the bottoms of your trees at least. So there's one. And I'm going to have a bigger one in the front here. And it's going to kind of come like this. Looks pretty good. I'm going to hit that again for a second. Now to make those hills stand out a little more, I'm going to come back in with a paintbrush. So I'm going to get some of that ink on my craft sheet there. And I'm going to take just a paintbrush and I'm going to dip it in some water first. It flows a little better if it's a little wet when you do this. And I'm going to start with that back hill. And I'm going to highlight the top of it. I want the top of that hill to be really crisp and really white. That's pretty good. So now I'm going to do the same for the bigger hill. A little more water. And I'm just following the lines I made with the dauber earlier. Now I'm really watering this down and I'm going to start from the bottom and just try to blend it all together. And if you miss some spots, that's okay, because then it just kind of looks like little divots in the snow like there would actually be anyway. So there we go. So I'm just going to dry that again. Okay, now this is really the only super fussy part of this card, is we're ready to take the ink off of the trees. And I just take a baby wipe, and you want to be a little bit careful because you will smudge the distress stain if you go over it with your baby wipe. So just pretty carefully remove the ink. So see how easy it comes off? So there's the difference. There's one tree, and I'll come back when I have them all done. Okay, so here we are back again. I've got my trees all cleaned off. They look pretty good. So now I'm going to just, I've got my pieces already cut out, and I'm going to glue this onto my mat here. Okay. So that's looking pretty good. And now I've got a button here and some twine. This is Martha Stewart twine. I'm going to add my button. Okay. So I'm going to take each end and come up through the bottom of the button. Sometimes this twine frays, so you can just Give it another little snip. There's one. And there's two. So I kind of want it over here. You can kind of fuss with it a little bit to get it where you want it. And right about there is where I want it. So I'm just going to go ahead and tighten that and tie it into a bow. And adjust your bow however you want it. It's pretty good. So there's that. And you can add a glue dot or some other kind of adhesive underneath that button if you don't want it to go anywhere, but it's fairly secure there, so I'm going to leave it like that for now. And I'm going to put my sentiment on here too. This is also a Hero Art sentiment. It's from one of their Christmas saying sets. It's CL543, and this one says peace, love, and joy. And I'm going to use Colorbox Fluid Chalk Ink in Chestnut Brown. It's one of my favorite colors. It does stain your stamps though, so if you're worried about that, I wouldn't use this one. And you barely have to touch the ink pad. They're so juicy. Give it some good pressure. There we go. And now I'm going to adhere this onto my card base. So there we go. There we are so far. So the last step is to add some pearls. So I have some here. And I believe these are Kaiser Craft pearls, but anything will work, or you could use gems. And one more. And our card's all done. So there you have it. Hope you like it and hope you make some.